I'd like to introduce Erik Latek. Hey, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, of course. So we just had some music, and now we're moving to continuing with the arts and entertainment here.
I can't talk.
No, you're not going to sing for us.
No. I'm quite not the singer.
No,
so.
Okay. Well,
I could. It would be awful.
Well, that's kind of my thing. I was like, if we're going to continue with this music, I could always sing, but it would be awful.
Yeah,
and I think people would hate it.
No, I sing really good in the car with the music on.
Yes.
And then you actually take the music off.
Yes.
And it's dreadful.
And everybody just tears up.
No, I only do that with my, when I'm in the car. Nobody else.
Oh
Maybe my wife. My wife, I'll do it sometimes with her.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here in the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'm just going to pull up all my notes so I make sure we have all the right stuff. So you are a filmmaker, director, and you've produced some really great stuff.
Thank you.
And here in Rhode Island, from Rhode Island, so we wanted to make sure we talked to you just kind of about some of the recent work you've been doing, about some of your past work.
Sure.
Because what you do is so beautiful, so moving, and has really reached a lot of people. So kind of wanted to talk to you about some of the short films that you've done and just about some of your body of work. I want to start off by talking to you about one of your recent films, Tiger. You really have been working on this for a big chunk of your life. What has it been, like 13 years?
15 years.
15 years.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about this, project film.
Sure.
What is it? What is it about? And what can people expect?
So Tiger follows the story of Gary Tiger Boletto, who I started following in 2001 as he was a fighter. And at the time, he just really, it was for a different project. It was actually for a project at the time was titled Sweet Dreams. And it was really following Gary's story and this other story with this bookie on the streets. So I followed these two stories for years. We did the festival circuit around 2006 to 2007. Nothing, I never, finished the sale on Sweet Dreams. And it really kind of, it wasn't finished. And really, I continued to follow Gary's story, after boxing. And, he unfortunately had a tragic accident. So my camera really started just capturing the process of him in the ICU, every other day pretty much, and he really actually requested it.
Oh, wow. That can make a big difference, I think, rather than feeling like you have to push your way into
absolutely.
something.
Yeah, no, at the time I was there purely as a friend and as, somebody who loved him, but he did want the story to continue, so, that's what I had to do.
That makes such a difference.
Yeah, and it's really, it was a stretch throughout the ICU, and then in his recovery mode, that was, as a friend, it's difficult to capture because, again, it's not scripted. It was a tough time because we weren't really sure what would happen. He was in and out of a coma state. So I would actually have to just sit there with the camera. And really, I would be very technical. It would just be myself, the camera, and Gary in this kind of coma state. And I would just be trying to work on technical so I could release my mind from the reality of what I was capturing.
Yeah, wow.
But it's really this beautiful, amazing story that's taken a long time. But this is the year, we should have some news coming up soon. I just can't say anything just yet. But,
Not yet?
Not yet, sorry.
What are you doing here? No, I'm just kidding. I
will let you know as soon as I find out.
Oh, perfect. Good. Well, and that's what we really wanted to talk to you about is because you put so much emotion, and it seems like you're so connected to a lot of these stories. How do you really find the projects that you want to work on?
Well, in my day-to-day, I travel a lot, so I do a lot of shooting and editing and After Effects, which is like a special effects motion graphics software, for a lot of different agencies around the country and different clients. So a lot of times I'm traveling for either a couple days or a couple weeks, directing projects, filming, then I come back and I got to do post. So it becomes a grind, So you need these types of projects. For me, there's still stories. If either something comes at me that strikes me, and I'm like, I have to tell that story. There's just something there. I gotta capture it. And sometimes in the narrative aspect, there's sometimes where I just have to just vent and let things go and experiment and just work in my own kind of bubble with narrative storytelling, and because it's different and it's something where I feel like once a student, always a student. I've been doing this since really 1998. I went to Emerson. I graduated from Emerson with a degree in film, but when I graduated, you know, everything went digital. So I learned everything from 16 millimeter to 35 millimeter. Steamback editing, and then everything went digital, so I was like, great. So, but I never feel like a professional. I even though I'll do like editing, After Effects, 3D, and shoot, I just feel like I can know more and do more. So like when I do these projects, I'm always learning something. I want to experiment with something. I gotta just like put the work stuff aside and do my own thing, and it's kind of trying to find that healthy balance. But then there's other stories like Tiger. The short I did on my godmother, Anna, that was a project that was very intimate, and I really just made that project for me and my family, not with the intent of putting it into festivals or anything beyond that. It kind of just worked out that way, so much so where I'm actually getting to speak on the behalf of the Cure for Alzheimer's organization. I get to show the film and speak to a ton of audience members about the film, and then I get to actually sit as as an audience participant and listen to scientists who've been studying the Alzheimer's gene for decades. You know, so I get to learn. So each film kind of takes you on a different journey. You know, the end result, which is fun and always unexpected, but.
Well, and a couple of things you just said that I kind of want to touch back on, but let's stick with Anna because it was so powerful, it was so moving, and you did it a few years ago. So it was 2015, and one of your films that has received much notoriety, won Best Documentary for the 2015 Online New England Film Festival, several other awards for that, and it's still garnering attention today. Just most recently, it was praised as a Short of the Week. So, I mean, this film, and you just said you did it for personal reasons.
Yeah.
And because of that, I mean, is it more powerful to you that you're getting accolades still, you know, years later?
It is, you know, and I to the heart, I do not, anything I do not do it for awards or accolades. It's a nice gesture, but I don't do it for that. And because film is so subjective, right? Like what you may like versus what I may like, you know, it's different. I mean, who's to say? But no, that one was, it's very special, the fact that years later it just kind of always kind of keeps popping up.
It keeps popping up.
Yeah, and I love that because I feel like, you know, it was, the execution of it was something where I just wanted to show through her eyes. Nobody else. I didn't want to do interviews. I didn't want to do, this wasn't a documentary about Alzheimer's. I just want to show through her eyes, kind of also give you the sense of obviously the disease of what she's going through, but give you this understanding of what a wonderful woman she was. So I had her daughter, Diana, actually, she wrote this poem that was kind of in her mother's voice. I felt nobody else could speak it but her, right? Because my godmother at the time couldn't speak it for herself, so I felt her daughter should. And, you know, we did experiment with having a professional voiceover, but just didn't feel right. It just needed to come from her. And these are kind of the beautiful choices you get to make when you work on your own projects. Thus is the case with that. And it's really, I'm always touched when I get emails or comments on how moved somebody is through her story, because it's kind of like her spirit just keeps, you know, touching somebody. I feel like if you do that just to one person, job done.
And you know, you said that through these stories you're making a connection, and it's really interesting how you're able to do that. And I'm wondering, because you also mentioned that you know, you went for school for this, you learned so much, and then everything went digital, and you kind of had to relearn all over again. I'm wondering, as technology changes, as people are using phones, using smaller, the camera that we use is this big, as technology is changing, is the art of filmmaking, do you think, changing for better, for worse, for nothing? I mean, the way that you use film and the techniques that you use, you're using all kinds of things. Do you think technology is changing for the better, or is it not really impacting the filmmaking?
Oh, it's hugely impacting the filmmaking. I mean, I actually had to go to the Beacon Charter School today and look at a bunch of great short films, and and they're not even in college yet. And as I told these kids, like, you are so far ahead of where I was in high school. You know, you're doing editing, you're doing graphics, you're telling a story, you're constructing it. You're way ahead of the game. And I think it's a beautiful thing that, and then you have the advent of online streaming, whether it's YouTube or Amazon or Netflix.
We're doing right now, yeah.
Absolutely. So you're reaching people in so many different ways. I think it's phenomenal. I'm just trying to stay afloat, to be honest with you. You know, I try to incorporate the craft I have always utilized with the cinema cameras and the way I tell the story, but it's not the camera. You know, people get hung up on, you know, what technologies and what are you editing on. And it's like, it's irrelevant. It's your story, it's your content. These are just the tools to help that. And you have a wide array of amazing tools, be it cameras, lenses, software, to tell your story, and so many outlets to tell your story. Like, go for it. It's a great time. You know, I kind of see it as it's kind of like the golden era of online storytelling. You know, that's my perspective.
And what are some of the techniques that you're using in filmmaking? Watching these, and you know, as a journalist, I love certain different shots. I love being able to watch and see what techniques you use. What are some of the techniques you use in different projects? What are some of the technologies that you're using? Do you use drones? I mean, you have some aerial footage, and I love being able to see that. What's some of the stuff that you use?
No, I have a bunch of toys. You know, what I try to do is, give you Tiger, for example. So I've been shooting that for 15 years, and I have had probably about half a dozen different camera technologies to the project, right? And it started from very small DV all the way to like 6K.
Wow.
Okay. But what I try to do with that project, and actually anything that I capture in the documentary sense, is I try to really shoot it in the best I can, because I'm capturing action as it happens.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to capture in a way that's more cinematic, more of a fly in the wall, sit back, let things happen, let the story unfold without me trying to butt in on anybody and do this, try this. You know, that's not really what I do. So what I've kind of done is selected certain cameras and, more importantly, certain lenses. So like with Tiger and even with Anna, I shot those with, for instance, a red camera, but I shot it with anamorphic cinemascope lenses. Okay, so it gives you a different look that most people probably aren't. You know, I just said anamorphic, and most people, I have no idea what that is. But you know, if you watch classic films like, you know, your Star Wars, your Raiders of the Lost Ark, they were shot with certain lenses that kind of give you a certain cinematic feel. I really have a theory that it's a subconscious thing. So regardless, I love it. It's a very difficult setup to shoot with on a documentary level. I wouldn't suggest it.
Okay.
You know, it's tough.
So maybe not go that route for your first documentary, kids?
No need. I just, you know, I was trying to be adventurous, I guess, but, you know, it was something I wanted to do. So camera lenses, you know, and always trying to stay on top of new gizmos that are coming out that help. I really, over time, try to, you know, I have so much stuff, lights and different cameras, and I've started to just whittle everything down to, like, if I can, at most 2 bags.
Oh, yeah.
You know, if I'm on the documentary, you know, they're heavy bags, but, you know, 3 at most. But I really try to be up and running and be able to capture stuff as fast as I can.
That's neat.
You know, so sufficiency.
That's important. You know what else was really interesting is you worked on something that really has also impacted people. A lot of your films and documentaries have the power to impact people. Something that you worked on with the state Beyond the Crash. Those were short films. How did you get involved with that?
So I met.
Tell us a little bit about it.
Sure, I met Dante Bellini, who is a partner over at RDW, the RDW group right up here. And we had met previous through Steve Feinberg. So Steve Feinberg had mentioned me, he's a friend of mine, and mentioned to Dante. Dante was just looking for somebody to shoot some stuff. But that project wasn't in its stage yet. So Dante and I just had a nice get-together. We had some coffee. He had coffee. I don't drink coffee. So I said coffee. Is that what you said, coffee?
Sure.
All right. So, coffee. So anyway, we had a good meeting, and just out of the blue, weeks later, he had this project come up. And I was actually knee-deep in a lot of 3D work. So I was at the bench morning, noon, and night, like cranking all these 3D projects out, 25 3D projects with a serious deadline. So he had emailed me regarding this project. It was kind of short notice, but would I be interested in helping out on it? So, it was tight in terms of, I was like, can I do this? I also had travel coming up. I said, yeah, let's do it. This would be great. And I managed really to capture the project with fitting all my other work in, and it was just a fantastic response. I mean, it was such a great, when you do these projects, whether it's the state troopers or Tiger or Anna or whatever I do, I kind of take something from it. It grounds you in a way that makes you a different person. I think for me anyway, a better person. So especially a project like that where I'm riding with these guys, you're learning about their perspective, the stuff they have to go through as state troopers, and it really just grounds you, because I try to, at least with my lens, show the perspective of whoever I'm filming through the eyes of my lens, the best that I can. So that type of work really kind of opens your eyes to the world that they have to see. It's difficult. I mean, some of the content's difficult that you have to shoot, more difficult when you have to go back and edit. But in the end, just had a fantastic response and online, and I'm so proud of it.
Well, and it was so overwhelming to be able to see up close some of the crashes, and then hear the backstory, and then to see what these people go through, and then to be able to see through their eyes, what the State Patrol goes through when dealing with this, and so to be a visual medium for that, pretty powerful.
Absolutely, and in the end, it's like anything I do. One of my closest friends, who I've been working with for about 10 years, is incredible musician, Mauro Colangelo. So like what he brings to life, any of the edits that I put together, it's like once I hand it over to Mauro to put his magic on the music score, it just comes to life. And that's a specific project that was haunting, just because of not only the images but the music that he was able to provide to each piece. It just kind of gives you that haunting, uncomfortable feeling. So it's a strong relationship I think a filmmaker needs to have with to find a great music composer. Somebody who's going to be the opposite end of the work you're doing and bring that part to life, because it's got to marry all together. So.
Erik, what, as you move forward, just briefly, we're kind of wrapping things up here, what project do you have coming up next?
So Tiger, I'm still working on. I'm actually working on edit right now, because we have big meetings with that right now. I have a script that I've been writing for quite a few years now that I'm hoping to finally shoot, be my first feature narrative in the fall, but depending on what happens, either with Tiger, and it's always production funding that is the big tackle. So that's obviously the challenge we face right now. In the meantime, believe it or not, I really, on the back end, I really love to try to develop tools for other editors and designers to utilize. It's just one of these fun things I like to do. So, I am on the back end creating like programs to work with the visual effects software that I use day to day, and to put it out there online, so that you can embed this into your program to make your workflow easier.
Oh, amazing. So
moving forward,
moving forward, making your work easier and others easier as well.
Yeah,
I love it.
Absolutely.
I love it. Erik Latek, you're going to let us know what's coming up next for Tiger as well. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You're going to tell us here first. All right, let's take a quick selfie.